There's Henry, outside the front of a BAC 111, a new addition to Cosford. And next to it is a Neptune maritime research or observation aircraft. Just came about a year ago. To Venice with Dad's first flight. We went into that door there that he's pointing to, and then we sat about 4, 5, 6 rows back on this side. And Andy, Graham, me and Dad were on it. It was a British Island Airways one. It's a Dutch one as well. This is? Oh, it was made in America, but Dutch Navy. Dutch Navy. Nice. Like on the front of that one. Clam bomb, which they used to sling under the bottom of a Lancaster. Doesn't say it on that site info, does it, Dave? That US. It says on loan in Eccles, Manchester. Leave it going just a little, it always runs back up. When you go into the airways first. C10. What's that? Well, because they go so high, don't they? Some have survived.
You can take some of them over there.
Yeah, but we've seen those at the didn't we? So, Henry standing in front of a short Belfast. Shows how big he is. When it come into service, it's the biggest plane in the RAF. Boeing 707.
What is that?
I know something. This has got the revolving undercarriage as well. That doesn't go just straight up, it spins round and goes inside.
Okay, what's on the side? We have a Trident. They give you a sheet now because they haven't got this back. And then we have a Gloucester Javelin. Aerodynamic shape at the back. What's that? Yeah, well, it's like a Delta, you can't. BAC 111, Neptune.
do, man.
G-A-R-P-H.
Huh. Britannia.
Bristol, Britannia.
Bristol, Britannia. Trip carrier.
Speak.
Vickers varsity, that one. And you have to put pan round before they do, so that I can see. Because they're going to move it. So see, I can see.
I can see. Canberra B8. B1 in the wind.
Yeah, that's the Victor B1 that won't be here for much longer because they're going to be one of these K2 tankers.
Take me by it, I'll give it to our father for Christmas.
There's a blue steel rocket there. And then we have
That's
the
that
old
blue steel missile
Yeah.
up there.
then we got the old Vulcan.
It's a B2.
You seem really keen of having the old Bloodhound.
Another Bloodhound.
Take me a still one like that.
I count 701.
I count 701. On that side we have de Havilland Comet.
That's the Comet. Comet 1A.
1A.
That's an early version. That one we saw at Duxford. It's a 2
Huh?
That's an early Comet, that one. That one at Duxford was a 4. So that's
Working on the boat. Alright, Gray, nearly got the fuse out. Nearly got the fuse out, Gray.
SB5.
What's it say?
First flight in 1952. Operated from Boston down Farnborough and RA at Bedford until it ceased flying in 1960.
Okay, and then we move
This
on
was
to
the Lightning B1 condition electric. It's prototyping Lightning. It's only one of the 2 ever made.
that's like on that tape of Bob's.
Yeah, 1954. First British aircraft to exceed Mach 1s in level flight. So
It's the radar now.
Lightning radar.
Yeah.
And this is the Lightning PE-1B. This aircraft was first used at Farnborough from 1960. Designed for maximum speed of Mach 2.3.
High-wing research aircraft.
What's that?
A high-wing research aircraft. Single Bristol orifice gas turbine. Maximum speed 200 miles per hour. This aircraft shown at the Paris Air Show. Made a round of test flights.
Bolton Pool, T21.
Bolton Pool C Balliol.
T20.
T20.
21.
Hmm?
FM Test Squadron. So, Ferry FD2, single-seater research aircraft, maximum speed 1,132 miles per hour. This is called a droop snoot. This is where the nose in the cockpit drops down on a hinge, and it obtained the world airspeed record at level flight. Then SR-53, mixed power plant research aircraft with a rocket engine and a jet engine.
Rocket engine used for combat and a jet for cruising.
It's the sole survivor of the two built for research purposes. First flew in May 1957, and second prototype crashed in unexplained circumstances December 57.
Oh, right, we have the TSR-2. What is that?
TSR2.
Yeah. Yo.
Wait a minute. TSR-2, British Aircraft Corporation, tactical strike reconnaissance aircraft mounted at the Royal Air Force in '64. Cancelled in 1965, a political decision. Fired two Bristol Siddeley Olympus 320 engines, this aircraft was designed for a maximum speed Mach 2 plus at altitude of Mach 1 at low level. The particular aircraft was one of 9 pre-production models ordered, and although it never actually flew, it was used as a test bed for the Olympus engines used in the Concorde development.
Get down there. That's a good view.
Like a bullet, isn't it?
First built jet Voss T1 trainer. First flew in 1954, and just about the latest ones have been retired next year.
He seems higher up than the
it's a different
modern
sort of
ones.
carriage, I think. Yeah, the only
Yeah.
Follen Nat FO 144, single-seat fighter aircraft. Bristol City, maximum speed of Mach 0.98 sea level.
Turn around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flight level and a flight endurance time of 1.25 hours.
And
One
this
of
is
6 ordered for development trials in '56. And 2-seat trainer version was used by the Red Arrows aerobatic team
which is it?
before being replaced. This is the NAT two-seater advanced trainer, developed from the Midge and single-seat NAT fighter aircraft, powered by Bristol Orpheus 100 engine, reached Mach 0.97 in level flight, flight duration 2.25.
Armstrong Whitworth Meteor F8 prone position aircraft. One off investigates the capabilities of the pilot flying in prone position. This is considered necessary to reduce the G-force effects of the pilot when pulling out of high-speed dives. Please see it.
Line in there. Front.
Blacked out. You take control of it and pull him out of the divers. I took this one before, so it's Meteor T7.5 for the ejection seat tests from Martin Baker. And we saw one of these at Stamford Airport last year. Oh, this year, flying. The only one.
And the next one?
And the next one is a Meteor prototype.
Right.
This is something with warm on top.
Right then, Stephen.
When's he like touching you?
So, right.
Yeah? What is it?
High-speed research aircraft constructed mainly from stainless steel, powered by two Diablo Junior engines designed for a maximum speed of Mach 2+, and a ceiling height of 36,000 feet. The aircraft first flew in 63 and made only 51 flights. Fuel consumption was so high, it only had a flight time of 25 minutes. And as the aircraft never achieved its end, the project was cancelled in 64. This aircraft is the only survivor of the two aircraft originally built.
And what is it?
It's a Bristol 1887C by AV Rowan Company Limited, a research and development aircraft designed to explore the delta wing design proposed for the Vulcan aircraft. Powered Rolls-Royce 707C displayed here is the only two-seater version built.
Built in 1953, first flew in 1953, this one, brother.
This thing, yeah.
Huh?
This thing,
Do
yeah.
you like it? Actually, Steve,
Yeah.
this one shows that better than
Well, this is a complete one, it says. That one at Duxford is a bit...
isn't it?
hasn't got all the equipment on it, it says.
But it didn't look so big there, does it? It looks bigger.
It's a massive thing, isn't it?
That's the head-on view of the Bristol 188 research aircraft.
The fighter version, as opposed to the Hind, which is the bomber.
Stored at St Athan. But first entered service 1935.
Mosquito.
Just as Mosquito. Obviously the concepts one can see.
Yeah, you showing him those guns.
.303 caliber, early models of Spitfires. This is the Browning .5 machine gun fitted to later model Spitfires. This is the Hispano 20mm cannons fitted to later models of Spitfires and Hurricanes. That's the one that didn't say.
14.
1VE. No, that's not bad.
Better do that. Walk up the top.
Bit of both. Yeah.
Not this one, this is
Yeah.
This is that Bristol Provost T1 that we saw.
Yeah, that'll make you fly.
This one came last time.
Nah. It's a Catalina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pardon? PBY6.
That's a newer one than that.
Yeah, they got the gantry and the work.
So it just started?
It's the same film, no, it's the same one.
No.
He's
Oh,
doing
this
that.
is where they...
Where what?
It's a ME262 1A, Messerschmitt. Swallow.
I'm glad we saw this one outside.
Yeah, 'cause you can't get one. Actually, I'll take one of that.
Is not flying and therefore not cooled to the same extent. Water is sprayed on the tail and the jet is shut off. The static test is not necessarily
got to
carried
let it
out
start.
after every flight.
Right then, there. Okay.
The engine for the...
Oh, that's the one
Comment.
above that one.
Yeah, it's a film.
These then are the operations necessary to prepare a rocket-propelled aircraft such as the Messerschmitt 163 for flight.
Let's go around this way first.
Yeah.
Finally, here is the picture of the rocket motor employed in the 163B being prepared separately for static test.
So like the cannons which go on it.
This is the... Oh, you can read it, can't you, off there?
Rheinmetall Borzig 30mm cannon. Which will go in these holes there.
Ground there.
That's on the face.
Well, it's
Yeah.
FI 156C, one stores, short-range reconnaissance aircraft, armored cooperation as an ambulance. Time for slow-speed flight, short takeoff and landing in confined spaces. Powered by a single 240 that a landing run of only 20 yards and takeoff run of 70 yards, maximum speed 110 miles an hour, range 240 miles. All right.
On the front
That's the gun camera.
to mark out the targets, and Dad wants to.
500 Tiger sports car. It's a four-wheel one, and it says the designer of this is responsible for the development work on the tricycle undercarriage for the 262 Messerschmitt and the Arado 234 Blitz bomber. Shall I read it?
Yeah, come on.
This is the Messerschmitt 410 Hornet. The Messerschmitt 410 was the last of a series of Messerschmitt twin-engine fighter bombers that went into large-scale production in 1943. This aircraft was captured in Denmark at the end of the war and is one of only two survivors of this type ever built. Powered by two Daimler-Benz 12-cylinder engines, each would achieve a maximum speed of 388 miles per hour. Its armament was 4 times machine guns and 2 times 20-metre cannon. It carried 2 times 500 kilogram bombs and had a crew of 2.
the top, above you. Go on then.
Single-seater general kite designed for observation purposes. Its autogyro is lowered aloft from surfaced U-boats. Became known as the water wagtail. When towed behind a U-boat, its autogyro achieved a height of 400 feet, and in that position the pilot could have a visual range of 25 miles as compared with 5 to 6 miles from the U-boat. The pilot was in telephone contact with the U-boat, and in an emergency he could release the rotor and tow cable, and he would then make a normal parachute descent into the sea. That one?
Yeah. Dave.
I knew you could do that because they did it on that film, and I thought, well, it won't.
A1A58, designed and built in Cordoba, Argentina. This reconnaissance and counterinsurgent attacker was originally known as the Dolphin. Ready?
Yeah.
This particular aircraft was captured at Port Stanley, and it's the only one
Complete.
captured which was intact.
Action.
Alright,
Yeah.
this is for the benefit of Graham.
That's where the bomb's sitting on.
Right?
Yeah.
Maldonado.
And the little angle of the tips go up.
1001B.
Tony.
Alright?
Yeah.
Tony.
Japanese Army Air Force in March 1945. Single-seater fighter based on the Kawasaki Swallow aircraft. Its maximum speed, this Kawasaki K1-100B, was 350 miles per hour and at a ceiling height of 36,000 feet. Flight time of 5 hours with fitted with drop tanks. The aircraft is armed with two 20mm cannons in the fuselage and two 12.7mm machine guns mounted on the wings. Particular aircraft served in the air defense of the Japanese mainland during the final phase of World War II. This is the Mitsubishi K146-3 Dyna, designed in 39, twin-engine, two-seater reconnaissance aircraft, maximum speed 375 miles per hour, ceiling height of 34,450 feet, powered by two Mitsubishi HA112 engines rated at 1,500 horsepower to take off.
109 of these built ever, and this is the only surviving aircraft in the world.
Batavia. So he's sat on the back.
Yeah, you the jumbo jet pilot. So it's substantial. Certainly looks good. I like that one. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Parcel. turret.
bottom for D-type turret. Was fitted to the Lincoln and later remarks of the Halifax.
Yeah.
Two twin 0.5-inch Browning machine guns
And this is
and
a
large radar scanner. That's
this is a Lincoln.
Avro Lincoln.
B4. In the background, you have the Lincoln.
Avro Lincoln.
Carried out after every flight.
There's the back of the Mosquito.
All these things kept going over the years, you know, without any problem. Yeah. Quite a size, isn't it?
I know.
You done that and showed the
Bombardier's position.
you showed the size difference compared to a map.
Oh, you're
Who's that there? Right.
Concentrated nitric acid as fuel instead of concentrated hydrogen peroxide.
Scottish Aviation, Twin Pioneer. Twin carrier, used for short takeoff and landing, and took part in the Queen's display of something of 1968. This is the Scottish Aviation Pioneer CC-1. Aircraft could take off on a run of less than 75 yards, and 40 of these were produced, and they were first flown in 1953.
It's interesting to look at the shape of the wing with the slats. I'll show the other side, but I think it shows a bit better.
Front and back.
Slats.
They've got 5 seats in there as well, Steve. 5 seats inside.
Okay, and on our right,
Well, it's Gloucester T7, and its particular aircraft was one of two, specially modified with skis and special navigational equipment from Dr. Vivian Fuchs's 1955 Trans-Antarctic Expedition. Right? This is the Chipmunk, the Havilland aircraft, and this is the actual aircraft that the Duke of Edinburgh flew in his solo flight. Right?
Bristol Sycamore. Helicopters of this type saw service in Malaya, Borneo and Cyprus, and where they developed techniques of night flying and troop deployment in mountainous areas. And actually it was the first British designed helicopter used by the RAF in service. Related Volti Liberator B-24, long-range bomber aircraft used by the RAF over Europe and anti-submarine role by Coastal Command. It says 1,964 of these were used by the RAF during World War II. And this particular aircraft started life in 1945 with 99 Squadron in Bengal, India.
Sting in the tail, Steve.
Took us before this one, I remember it before, so I'm not thinking. That's the Indian Air Force markings there as well.
In wartime services, that'd have side guns on as well.
0.5 Browning machine guns in the rear turret. Those old ace shots there. Operators in the world left, and 2 are airworthy, and 10 are in USA, 1 in Canada, 1 in India, and 1 here at Cosford. See that helicopter above? It's a Westland Dragonfly, one of the early types of British air helicopters. The BEA livery.
Navigation
Post. And Bombardier's post as well.
up here.
Fun.
It's a good gun, yeah. Can't really.
Yeah, that's what that mark is. Said it must be
Okay.
It's a Rolls Royce. RB211 engine that was on the TriStars. It was used on 3 different positions, on 3 different. It's D5. Took part in the Berlin airlift of 1948 as well. Said to Dominic, that's right. It's Liberator. It's ugly, but well hung.
Jets are for kids, Dommy.
It's got a good angle on that single pioneer thing.
It's got loads of stuff. Yeah, that's good. The Benz 610 engine, which was used during the Second World War in the Heinkel 177A. 24 cylinders, double V inverted. made by putting two engines together. So, Canberra, I don't know what it's type. Rear seats too. -52-3. Used during the Second World War by the Germans, but this type is done in the 1930s livery of British Airways. It's actually a Casa 252. I think. What's it got? JU-52, which was designed and built in Germany from 1933 and built in Spain until 1960. It was carrying 15 to 17 passengers, although during the war it carried a lot more paratroopers than that. Flaps. Trident 3B cockpit. A flight instrument trainer. Vulcan B2 cockpit. Actually, it was a B1. This is the older version of Vulcan, not the B2. Revving up. He went for it.
It's just about to take on.
Come on through then. This is the
Come on through.
bulk fuselage as the Vulcan B1 as Neville Duke. Slingsby Cadet glider.
Slingsby Cadet. We have a detail of the air brake. Buccaneer.
This is Guinness Girl Sea Witch Debbie. Buccaneer SR2. This was in the Gulf War.
This one's in the Gulf War. Desert Storm.
This one was with 12 Squadron during the Gulf War, operating from Bahrain.
And still in the colours of Desert Storm.
Havilland Devon C2-2, which first flew in 1947, and the next one on this one is the Percival Pembroke C1, which we saw one of those by an old warden. 19. Almost 8,000 were built. And that's the Westland Whirlwind search and rescue helicopter, which me and Dad saw him fly at Ragdale Hill. This is the Avro York, which first saw service in early 1943 as a transport and troop carrier and VIP. And that one actually took part in the Berlin airlift in 1948. It's on there. Nimrod AEW, which is used for early airborne warning, and it's got the radar moving at the front and the tail of this one. We saw one of these RAF Finningley. Let's take that Ratto used. The Walter Starlifton 109-500 Ratto unit, which was used to assist heavy aircraft on takeoff.
Since 2 assisted takeoff units are being prepared for an aircraft, 2 of these filled cans are taken away. Shown here, and the unit is now ready to be put on an aircraft.
That goes on the front there.
Here, the unit is being wheeled up to a Heinkel 111, and 1 takeoff unit attached under each wing. The unit is lifted easily back.
Wings of the plane. Using that girdle there.
After attachment under the wing, the static cord to open the parachute when it is subsequently jettisoned is fixed. And finally, the unit is, so to speak, armed by opening the safety valve which previously shut off the high-pressure air, causing a diaphragm in the air pipeline in the takeoff unit to break and allow compressed air to blow the fuel separately into the combustion chamber. When the aircraft is taken off, the rocket units are jettisoned and come down by parachute for collection and used again later.
This is General Montgomery's personal plane, the D-Day landings in 1944, which he used personally.
You can see that.
Interior.
Wartime tractor used by the RAF during the Second World War. The Hastings T5. Junkers Ju-52. And the Junkers Ju-52 again from behind. That's the Second World War parachute motorbike with, they call them cases.
Container.
Drop container, parachute drop-in container. And then there's a parachute drop-in container with parachute It's ground Morris Minor 1000. Rapier missile, 1964 started. This next one is the EMW Typhoon from Germany from 1945, surface-to-air missile. This is a Ferry Aviation STV-RAE. These test vehicles were fired from Aberporth from 1950 to 56 to study the performance of solid fuel boost motors. It's in Wales. And this one is the Douglas aircraft Skybolt missile from 1960, air-to-surface missile, strategic, USA. This one's the Bristol Aero and Ferranti Bloodhound, surface-to-air missile, like the one we saw outside. Okay. This one is the English Electric Thunderbird, surface-to-air missile from 1949, British. And there's one of these at Coventry Airport. Which one? This one runs. This is the Douglas aircraft Thor missile, surface-to-surface missile, land strategic from 1955. That's the thing.
Yeah, it gives it a little power generator.
And this is the Fiesler F1-103 V1 Doodleberg, surface-to-surface missile from 1942. This one is the Blomenvoss Holkorn, which is a hailstone in English, and it's made in Germany in 1943. And it's an air-to-surface missile. So I have to wait for that. German Army V2, 1942, surface-to-surface missile. It's on its original rocket launch trailer, which is the Miller wagon, a transport launcher with a hydraulic ram used to raise it to 90 degrees ready for firing. Okay. This one's the Messerschmitt Enzian Gentian Violet from 1943, which is a surface-to-air missile, and it was radio guidance. And how the hell this thing get anything on them or not? Because it's so bulky, buddy. And a lot of it's made of wood, especially the construction of the wings and forward fuselage, which is these are the biggest. This is really hard. This is the Rhine Torture, German, 1942, surface-to-air missile with a range of 40 kilometers, radio command. Okay. That one I don't know what actually it is.
Yeah.
Didn't say. Okay, you take that.
Yeah, it's on there.
And this one's the Rheinmetall Borsig Rheinbolt, Germany from 1944, which is a surface-to-surface missile with a range of 135 miles, unguided, aimed at target by direction of launcher only. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and it says,
Yeah.
Rheinbolt reached a maximum speed of Mach 5.55. This one's the Rheinmetall Fire Lily FS5, 1942, Germany, surface-to-air missile, radio guidance. And it's the last stage of a SAM project aiming to research the aerodynamic propulsion systems required for an effective surface-to-air missile. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Rostad AG Fritz X, 1943, German air-to-surface tactical radio command. Arguably the best of the early German missiles. the Fritz X was very successful. Half of the pre-production delivery hit within 5 metres of the target. This one's the Henschel HS-293. German, first started in 1943, air-to-surface missile. This was the first ASM in the world to sink a ship in August 1943, which was HMS Egret. And this one is the Henschel Schmetterling Butterfly, HS-117, German, 1943, surface-to-air missile. This missile was used initially only for visual engagements, the warhead being detonated by the operator, and guidance was by radio. Ohaka. This small blue aircraft hanging from the roof is a Japanese suicide aircraft designed in 1944. Launched from a mother aircraft, the Ohara rocket motor could carry it some 20 miles. It carried nearly a ton of high explosives in the nose, and the pilot dives the aircraft onto its target using the ring sight and the blade sight mounted in the front of the windscreen, with the pilot perishing with the aircraft. This is the. You might have to. I'm not just going to try it.
Yeah.
This is the Henschel HS-298, German, built in 1942, air-to-air missile.
Perfect launch. But a modern rocket would be sending back data which might tell engineers why things were about to go spectacular.
Right, this is the Ruhrstahl X-4, German, 1943, air-to-air missile, wire-guided. This one is a Sidewinder, American, 1953 first use, air-to-air missile, infrared homing, range of 11 miles.
Yeah.
This is the Ferry Aviation Fireflash, British 1949 design air-to-air missile, semi-active radar homing. This one is the right.
Yeah.
Vickers Armstrong Red Dean, 1952 British air-to-air missile. Sparrow missile from USA, first used 1958, air-to-air missile, the range of 62 miles.
Some pictures are shown on 2 pages.
Which one do I want at the back?
Yeah.
This is the British Aerospace Red Top, UK 1964 air-to-air missile, infrared guided.
Yeah.
This is the De Havilland Forestry, British 1958 air-to-air missile, infrared, fitted to the Cevix in the normal marks of the lightning.
Yeah.
This is the British Aerospace SRAM, short-range air-to-air missile, infrared.
Okay.
So, this is quite modern. British Aerospace Sea Skua, first used in 1978, British-made air-to-surface missile, which are used on Lynx helicopters, which they can carry 4. The next one is the Martel. 1964, it's an international consortium, air-to-surface missile, and it uses guidance of television and radio link.
Okay, in the top.
One at the back, the Aerospatiale Exocet, air-to-surface missile with radar guidance, French.
Right.
That's the Australian government Moncara anti-tank missile, 1951, wire-guided. This is Vickers Armstrong Swing Fire missile, anti-tank missile,
Yeah.
1961 British, wire-guided. And that's the Aerospatiale AS-11 French anti-tank missile, first built in 1953. Torpedo Factory Aerial Torpedo Mark 44 from 1944, air-to-surface missile, acoustic humming. Next one's the Royal Naval Torpedo Factory Aerial Torpedo Mark 30, first built in 1950, air-to-surface missile, and it was used by acoustic humming also. This one is the Royal Navy Torpedo Factory Aerial Torpedo Mark 43, from 1954, air-to-surface missile, also used. This one is the EMW Typhoon from Germany from 1945, surface-to-air missile. It is a Ferry Aviation STV-RAE. These test vehicles were fired from Aberporth from 1950 to 56 to study the performance of solid fuel boost motors. It's in Wales. And this one is the Douglas aircraft Skybolt missile from 1960, air-to-surface missile, strategic, USA. This one's the Bristol Aero and Ferranti Bloodhound, surface-to-air missile up amongst the outside. Okay. This one is the English Electric Thunderbird, surface-to-air missile from 1949, British. And there's one of these at Coventry Airport. Which one? This one runs. This is the Douglas aircraft Thor missile, surface-to-surface missile, land strategic from 1955. That's the thing.
Yeah, it gives it a little power generator.
And this is the Fiesler F1-103 V1 Doodleberg, surface-to-surface missile from 1942. This one is the Blomming-Voss Holkorn, which is a hailstone in English, and it's made in Germany in 1943. And it's an air-to-surface missile. Wait for that. German Army V2, 1942, surface-to-surface missile. It's on its original rocket launch trailer, which is the Miller wagon, a transport launcher with a hydraulic ram used to raise it to 90 degrees ready for firing. Okay. This one's the Messerschmitt Enzian Gentian Violet from 1943, which is a surface-to-air missile, and it's radio guidance. And how the hell this thing get anything on the moon? Because it's so bulky, by the way. A lot of it's made of wood, especially the construction of the wings and forward fuselage, which is these are big as this is the Rhine Torchster, German, 1942, surface-to-air missile with a range of 40 kilometers, radio command. That one, I don't know what actually it is.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, you take that.
Yeah, it's on there.
And this one's the Rheinmetall Borsig Rheinbolt from Germany from 1944, which is a surface-to-surface missile with a range of 135 miles, unguided, aimed at target by direction of launcher only. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and it says,
Yeah.
Rheinbolt reached a maximum speed of Mach 5.55. This one's the Rheinmetall Fire Lily FS5 from 1942, Germany, surface-to-air missile, radio guidance. And it's the last stage of a SAM project aiming to research the aerodynamic propulsion systems required for an effective surface-to-air missile. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Rollstad AG Fritz X from 1943, German air-to-surface tactical radio command. Arguably the best of the early German missiles, the Fritz X was very successful. Half of the pre-production delivery hit within 5 meters of the target. This one's the Henschel HS-293, German, first started in 1943, air-to-surface missile. This was the first ASM in the world to sink a ship in August 1943, which was HMS Egret. And this one is the Henschel Schmetterling Butterfly, HS-117, German, 1943, surface-to-air missile. This missile was used initially only for visual engagements, the warhead being detonated by the operator, and guidance was by radio. Ohaka. This small blue aircraft hanging from the roof is a Japanese suicide aircraft designed in 1944. Launched from a mother aircraft, the Ohara rocket motor could carry it some 20 miles. It carried nearly a ton of high explosives in the nose, and the pilot dives the aircraft onto its target using the ring sight and the blade sight mounted in the front of the windscreen, with the pilot perishing with the aircraft. This is the. You might have to. I'm not just going to try it.
Yeah.
Right.
Try, yeah.
This is the Henschel HS-298, German, built in 1942, air-to-air missile.
Perfect launch. But a modern rocket would be sending back data which might tell engineers
Black and white.
why things were about to go respected.
Right, this is the Ruhrstahl X-4, German, 1943, air-to-air missile, wire-guided. This one is a Sidewinder, American, 1953 first use, air-to-air missile, infrared homing, range of 11 miles.
Yeah.
This is the Ferry Aviation Fireflash, British 1949 design air-to-air missile, semi-active radar homing.
First fired in anger.
This one is the right.
Yeah.
Vickers Armstrong Red Dean,
Missile has been fueled.
1952 British air-to-air missile.
The alcohol is ignited.
The Sparrow missile from USA, first used 1958, air-to-air missile, the range is 62 miles.
Some pictures are shown of two failures.
Which one do I want at the back?
In the
Yeah.
first case,
This is the British Aerospace Red Top, UK 1964 air-to-air missile, infrared guided.
Yeah.
This one. This is the De Havilland Fire Streak, British 1958 air-to-air missile, infrared, fitted to the Cevix in the normal marks of the Lightning.
Yeah.
This is the British Aerospace SRAM, short-range air-to-air missile, infrared.
Okay.
So, this is quite modern. British Aerospace Sea Skua, first used in 1978, British-made air-to-surface missile, which are used on Lynx helicopters, which they can carry 4. The next one is the Martel.
finally,
From 1964, it's an international consortium, air-to-surface missile, and it uses guidance of television and radio link. Okay.
Okay. In the top.
One at the back, the Aerospatiale Exocet, air-to-surface missile with radar guidance, French.
Right.
That's the Australian government Moncara anti-tank missile, 1951, wire-guided. This is Vickers Armstrong Swingfire missile, anti-tank missile,
Yeah.
1961 British, wire-guided. And that's the Aerospatiale AS-11, French anti-tank missile, first built in 1953. Torpedo factory, aerial torpedo Mark 44 from 1944, air-to-surface missile, acoustic homing. Next one's the Royal Naval Torpedo Factory, aerial torpedo Mark 30, first built in 1950, air-to-surface missile, and it was used by acoustic homing also. This one is the Royal Navy Torpedo Factory, aerial torpedo Mark 43, from 1954, air-to-surface missile, also used.
Example of an early experiment. The rocket is attached to the skater's back and calculated to propel him along at a considerable speed. But the experiment proved little, except perhaps that rockets get hot when they burn. Experiments were also carried out using rockets on a motorbike, and it is believed that these were reasonably successful. Here is a picture of one of these bikes in action. In America, a courageous man conceived the bright idea of attaching solid fuel rockets to a motorboat. Off we go. But apart from putting up a first-class smokescreen, our young friend's efforts were not successful. An experiment carried out in Czechoslovakia to illustrate the principle of reaction propulsion is interesting because of its relationship to rocket power, which is also a reaction propulsion. This boat, in which water is being forced out of nozzles at the sides, demonstrates the speed and degree of maneuverability that may be obtained if the propulsion unit can be properly controlled. The effect here is similar to that experienced by a fireman holding a fire hose. The reaction to the jet of water coming out of the nozzle exerts a considerable force on him, and a large hose often takes 2 men to hold. Among the uses to which the solid fuel rocket has been successfully applied is that of life-saving at sea. This rocket, which functions in the same manner as the ordinary firework rocket, is used to carry a lifeline to the ship in distress, enabling the heavier line to be hauled aboard and rescue subsequently effected. In 1928, a series of experiments were begun by Vernier, Opel, and Sun military purposes. These rockets, as can be seen, closely resemble some of our earlier aircraft rockets, and are in fact operated on much the same principle, except that black powder is used as a propellant. Tilling, who was later killed while pressing powder, achieved excellent results with his rockets, despite the fact that he used very crude equipment. For instance, he used a pair of kitchen scales, suitably coupled, to measure thrust. In 1933 and 1934, Richard Tilling, who carried on his brother's work after his death, demonstrated a rocket fired from an aircraft. The firing trials were carried out at a height of 600 meters and ranges of 7,500 to 8,500 meters obtained. These pictures show the stability and flatness of trajectory obtained with Tilling's rocket. In 1928, after a considerable amount of research, Beck, Tolthausen and Lippisch built a full-sized aircraft powered by a solid-fuel black powder rocket developed by Zander. This aircraft had a lot of teething troubles, the crew's first attempt to take off being unsuccessful. But eventually, as will be seen in a moment, the aircraft became airborne and made a short flight across the aerodrome. This is a picture deserving special attention, as it is the first rocket-propelled aircraft ever flown. It should be noted that this event took place as far back as 1928. Here is a slow-motion sequence of the flight. On the 8th of March 1926 in Massachusetts, American spaceflight pioneer Robert H. Goddard launched the first successful liquid fuel rocket. Period after 1934, not only were considerable strides made in solid fuel rockets, and not only were liquid oxygen rockets brought to an advanced state of development, but in addition, self-igniting liquid rockets based on hydrogen peroxide and on nitric acid had been worked out.
This is the engines.
By December 1937, the research team led by General Dornberger and Werner von Braun were ready to test their third rocket design, the A-3, which was intended to provide vital design information for the much larger A-4 missile, better known today as the V-2. Fired from an island in the Baltic near the top-secret Peenemünde research station on the Baltic coast, all three rockets crashed through problems with their control systems. The rocket engine of this A-3 can just be seen floating in the sea. The German A-5 rocket was designed to solve control problems which caused the earlier A-3 rockets to crash and to find the best shape for the V-2 missile. The A-5 was more advanced than any of Goddard's rockets, as it came down by parachute and could be used again. It was also used to test V-2 components. By October 1939, 1 month after the Second World War started, A-5 rockets were flying with an effective control system, and one of the major problems in developing the V-2 was on the way to being solved. Top-secret research led to the long-range V-2 missile being launched in anger within 3 years. Here is the first successful launch of the V-2 on the 3rd of October 1942. General Dornberger gives the all clear. Switches are thrown to start the V-2 rocket engine, it builds up thrust, and the missile takes off. 5 minutes after launch, it plunges into the Baltic, 190 kilometers down the coast from Peenemünde. At the third attempt, German scientists and engineers had successfully launched the world's first long-range guided missile. V-2 development work at Peenemünde. High-ranking Nazi officers took an interest in the V-2. Heinrich Himmler, head of the SS, visited Peenemünde in 1943. You can just catch a glimpse of him seated in the bus. In the brown suit is Werner von Braun, technical director of the V-2 project. To all appearances, this is a perfect launch, but a modern rocket would be sending back data which might tell engineers why things were about to go spectacularly wrong. However, the V-2 sent back very little information, so progress had to be made mostly by trial and error. It took nearly 2 years to turn the V-2 from an experimental rocket into a usable weapon. About 300 were launched during the development program without solving all the problems. Mobile launchers for the V-2 were also developed at Peenemünde. Here, a V-2 and its supports are set up on the foreshore, just as they would have been when first fired in anger from the Netherlands during September 1944. The missile has been fueled and is almost ready for launch. The alcohol is ignited. The main thrust is realized with the admission of the oxygen to the flame. It then makes a perfect takeoff. Some pictures are shown of two failures at launching. In the first case, the rocket became unstable during its upward flight and turned over, causing it to return to Earth. The rocket landed on a German aerodrome, and the damage done can be clearly seen. On this occasion, the rocket toppled before takeoff, causing the fuel tanks to explode. Finally, here is a launching during Operation Backfire at Cuxhaven in November of 1945. The rockets in this case were fired into the North Sea. The HS-293 was the first successful air-to-surface guided missile. This film shows the HS-293 trials at Peenemünde in 1941. An HS-293 is shown fitted to the aircraft that will carry it to within range of the target. Underneath the winged missile is its separate rocket engine. The HS-293 was steered by radio control from the aircraft. Here, the joystick control is demonstrated. When dropped from the aircraft, the engine of the HS-293 fires for about 10 seconds, and a flare in its tail ignites so that the missile can be easily seen. In this film, taken from the carrier aircraft, the bombardier steers the HS-293 towards the white target building in the center of the island, which represents a ship. After dropping the HS-293, the pilot must fly a fairly straight and level course to avoid spoiling the bombardier's aim. This HS-293 is kept on course and scores a direct hit. The missile entered service in 1943 and on the 27th of August claimed its first victim, HMS Egret. However, in action, only about 1 in 5 missiles hit the target, and the radio control signals could be jammed by the enemy. Afterwards, the aircraft flies over the target to take a closer look at the damage. Yes, a direct hit. Rheinbote was a surface-to-surface missile. This 4-stage solid fuel rocket was probably the first multi-stage missile to be developed. It was fired from an adapted V2 Meilerwagen transporter or a converted flight gun mount, and it had a range of about 218 kilometers. The Rheinbote was a surface-to-surface missile. Some 200 missiles were fired at Antwerp during November 1944. However, Rheinbote could only carry a 22-kilogram warhead and had no guidance system. It was neither accurate nor effective. This film shows a trial launch of Rheinbote and the first and second stages dropping away. The Wasserfall was an anti-aircraft missile. Still under development at the end of the war, Wasserfall was an advanced liquid fuel anti-aircraft missile based on V2 technology. The missile was steered to its target from a nearby bunker by means of a joystick radio control system seen here. Finally, here is a night launch of a Wasserfall. Unlike the V2, it used storable fuels, so it could be launched instantly. The X-4 air-to-air missile almost became the first operational air-to-air guided missile. It was still under development when the war ended. In this captured film, an X-4, similar to the one displayed in the museum, is fired from a Focke-Wulf 190 fighter. Control signals from the aircraft were transmitted through 2 wires carried in spools on the wingtips, so there were no radio control signals to be jammed by the enemy. The HS-298 was another rocket-propelled air-to-air missile with a range of 2.5 kilometers. It was launched from rails on the parent aircraft and guided to its target by radio control. Experiments were also underway to develop a direct wire control for this missile. These pictures show the method of mounting on an aircraft. The VT fuse and generator can clearly be seen in front of the missile. The generator supplies power for the radio receiver and controls. Among the guided anti-aircraft missiles employing liquid fuel motors under development by the Germans was Enzian. This missile, which resembled a small aircraft, was launched from an inclined ramp on a modified 88mm gun mount and achieved a maximum speed of 100 meters per second. It was fitted with a nitric acid motor and employed 4 solid fuel-assisted takeoff units, which were jettisoned when the fuel was burnt out, that is, after approximately 5 seconds. The missile was controlled by radio link and fitted with a proximity fuse designed to operate within 170 meters of the target. These pictures show the arrangement of the combustion chamber and the servo motors operating the control surfaces. The missile is placed on the ramp while it is in the horizontal position, and the ramp is then elevated by hand cranking to the required takeoff angle. These pictures show a water test being carried out to test the fuel tanks and system for leakages, but this would not be part of the standard launching procedure. Among other liquid fuel anti-aircraft rockets is the HS-117, known as Schmetterling. This is a smaller missile than the one previously seen and employed a nitric acid motor developed by BMW. This missile also employed 2 solid fuel-assisted takeoff units, which were jettisoned when the missile was airborne. It will be seen that the operation of conveying the weapon to the firing point, raising it and placing it on the ramp required only 2 men. This rocket was designed to be able to destroy a flying fortress as it exploded within 10 meters. Its ceiling was 9,000 meters and its speed governed to 537 miles per hour, irrespective of altitude. Here are some pictures of test firings of the Schmetterling. The reason for the peculiar rotating motion of the missile is not known, but it was deliberate and was later dispensed with. Here is a static test of the HS-117 nitric acid motor. Fueling the nitric acid motor was a relatively simple task. The fuel being brought to the fueling point in this tank wagon and the fuel being passed into the motor through appropriate fueling points. Although for rocket motors requiring ease of control and long burning, liquid fuels are always to be preferred. There are still some applications for solid fuels. An example of this is the Rheintochter guided anti-aircraft projectile. This missile was developed by Rheinmetall Borsig, but was still under development when the war ended. These pictures show the first firing trials of the Rheintochter. The first test was to check the stability of the missile once it was airborne, and it will be seen that a considerable degree of stability had been achieved. In this particular test, the boost unit at the rear does not separate. Another trial to test the rotary controls. Again, the boost unit does not separate, but it will be noted that the missile is this time to test the stability after separation. And in this test, the boost unit will be seen to separate from the main projectile. This then brings us up to 1947.
You film it? Yes, when he was on High Street.
She really looked that cold.
So far, including ourselves, we've seen 16 paying people.
Yeah. There might be some more, but we haven't seen about the before.
So, that is good.
Doing a good pasty and chips. With a calf shirt.
All the bloody dog.
This is the Andover.
Got the
New-
cover